story from the post-millennial. The first thing I want to say is, Don Lemon, he's melting down over the Charlie Kirk Memorial. A lot of liberals are. The first thing I want to say is the Charlie Kirk Memorial is one of the greatest days in the history of this country. It's estimated over 100 million people watched, and that was just in the first day. The full calculation isn't out yet. Powerful speeches to honor a man whose life was cut short, a good man who fought for making this country better, for unity. And it was a lot of people coming together. It was people waking up. Estimates of, I think, 200,000 people being there in person. The response from people like Don Lemon and the left was to call it a Nazi rally. They are now upping the ante. Prominent liberals are doubling down, saying that Charlie Kirk should have been in jail even. This one woman, who I will not give her the credit of saying her name, says that for his speech, Charlie should be in jail. No joke. A prominent liberal, all right, I'll just say it, Rebecca Jones. She tweeted that Charlie should have been in jail for a speech. Simultaneously, while liberals are lamenting Jimmy Kimmel's firing, he's back, I guess, they're saying Jimmy Kimmel's fired our free speech, but Charlie should be in jail. That's what they're saying. The escalation that we have seen in the past 2 weeks is very worrying. Okay, let me just spell it out. It was this event was put on 9 days. 9 days, I believe they said it was, after the death of Charlie Kirk, the murder, the assassination. He was killed in cold blood by a guy who, according to the evidence, said you couldn't negotiate with Charlie's hate. The left celebrated. They said nobody would care about Charlie Kirk. They panicked, tried blaming Groypers. They are now shooting up ABC stations, threatening more ABC stations with terror because of the firing of Jimmy Kimmel, because Jimmy Kimmel lied about who the shooter was. And they're calling the funeral for Charlie Kirk, an innocent man who did nothing wrong, who was murdered in cold blood, they're calling it a Nazi rally. It's like 3 years just happened in a week. Okay. Maybe everybody was politically blue-balled from August, bored, and so then it just kicked off a month later in an insane way.
They were calling the what is it, Madison Square Garden rally that Trump did before the election. They were calling it Nazis. Anytime you get enough conservatives together, they're going to be like, Nazis. They're doing a Nazi rally. It's in one ear and out the other nowadays. There's no substance to what they're saying. There was someone that was saying, "Oh, look, Stephen Miller, the Jew, sounded just like Goebbels on stage talking."
He said dragon.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all the same regurgitated garbage because they don't have anything worse to compare them to, and they're all histrionic, mostly women.
Oh yeah, where they were like they use AI to translate Stephen Miller's speech into German, and they're like, "This is so scary."
Yeah,
because like they were just World War II brain. Like that's all they can ever point back to. Because like you said, histrionic. So it's just, I mean, him saying it was religious nationalism on full display. Like, what are you trying to invoke there, Don? Are you trying to get more people hurt? Because that's like that's language that's going to cause people to be violently angry. It's absurd.
There's a lot of people that are talking about, it's Christian nationalism, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, man, you tried that before the election, and he was still elected.
Right.
So this whole Christian Christian nationalism stuff, it only scares leftists.
Well, and he's not saying Christian nationalism like what Stephen Wolf Christian nationalism. He's saying religious nationalism. He's trying to invoke like Al Qaeda. That's what he's trying to do there. It's very obvious. He's trying to terrify you.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale. So.
Yeah, which is not. I mean, again, I even saw people talking about Project 2025 and how this is actually the fruition of Project 2025. It's all just scare tactics to try to get their side worked up. And again, the conservatives don't give them, they don't give them any more credibility than just to give them crap on X, right? That's it. But they want to continue to turn the temperature up, even though as they swear up and down that what Donald Trump said is not turning the temperature down. It's like, oh, he's inflaming things, blah, blah, blah. Literally, they spend, all day long and all of the talking heads on the left, and all of these people that even up to and including people like AOC, fascists. They're fascists even after Charlie Kirk was murdered. They're like lying about what Charlie Kirk said, swearing up and down that it's a Nazi rally, swearing up and down that it's Christian nationalism, that they're just going to make all women are going to have to wear the red dress and the bonnet and blah 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 blah, which is all ridiculous. Which most of the women on the left,
maybe they should.
Well, most of the women on the left, they're saying that it's a terrible idea, but they're thirsty for it. They're just like, God, please pay attention to me. But that's the thing. It's all just histrionics trying to get people riled up in a time, a week after there was just a political murder. There's a guy going and shooting up ABC. There was a guy in New Hampshire that killed someone and shot up a wedding and he's hollering free Palestine. And that's, leftist garbage. It's all the same, try to get people as worked up as possible.
Do you think Don Lemon's just so desperate? Because the amazing thing here is millions of people were served the gospel. Everyone's hearing about Christ now. It's huge. And my favorite thing that Andrew Colvett tweeted recently was like he didn't realize what they were doing with these tents across the campuses. It was a revival, right? It was like, yeah, he was talking and it was free speech and that's great. But above that, it was like an actual tent revival. Charlie went to preach.
This is why I talk about the importance of community all the time, and why a lot of the efforts that we have outside of the show is trying to make ways in which people can connect, like the Discord server. Guys, Mamba Collectibles in Martinsburg, it's open. The building is finally open.
Sick.
I know the coffee shop's not open yet. So maybe like once he opens, I should have announced that you guys can go play cards and hang out. And we're going to be heading over there and working on setting up this show for game playing with you and all that stuff. The reason is standing next to somebody and making that connection is the most important thing. And church used to do that. Every week, everyone in the town would gather together and they would see their neighbors and friends and they would share ideas. And in many instances, they'd have potluck. The church I went to growing up, they'd have a potluck afterwards. That's why me and my friends would go to church. I got to be honest. When I was like 10, my friends were like, "You want to go to church?" No, but they have free food, so we would. For real. I mean, and it was awesome, like mac and cheese and pie. But
Can't go wrong with mac and cheese.
But the parents, the older people there, were like, "We got them." Like they tricked us, and like I guess so. We'd be there by ourselves when we were young. That largely started going away and is still gone away. That's why I was talking about how I want to do that Saturday morning cartoons thing where parents come, bring your kids, hang out in the early morning on Saturday to hang out so it doesn't interfere with church, but that community can come together for those that don't go to church. Charlie was doing that. Mm-hmm. He was creating spaces where people were all crowding around. And you know what that showed? It showed the people on those campuses, those young men, there were a ton of other people that agreed with him. I guarantee you, nobody would take this bet against me. Charlie probably made a pair of best friends every single time he went to a campus. Because there'd be 50, 100, 200 people. The crowds were getting huge. And some dude would be like, yeah, but what about this one? What about that? Some guy would hear that and be like, bro, I heard what you were saying, dude. Exactly. That's what I've been saying. And then they were like, yeah, let's talk. Charlie was building community. And when they took his life away, he proved it. You know what's really crazy? I don't think it's crazy that in 9 days they set this event up. Turning Point USA is based in Arizona. Yeah. And I know with all due respect, it's a tremendous effort. But they're based in Arizona. They own the stage and all of this stuff already. It's in storage because they do AmFest every year. So they needed to only find the labor and pay them a lot of money because you're going to last minute pay to be like, hey, the stage setup we do for Section C or whatever, we're going to bring that into the stadium, license the stadium, extenuating circumstances, probably moved it very quickly. I'll tell you what the most amazing thing is that regular people from across this country with a week's notice, flew out and drove out to Arizona. And they're now, I'm seeing now that TPUSA is saying they registered around 280,000 unique devices, indicating that's how many people were at that event physically. Wow. To get people to be like, I will take off work and I will travel for this, shows you the community that Charlie had built and continues to grow. And it just skyrocketed.
It's amazing. It crushes all the desperate talk from the left. I mean, I know there's stuff we got to worry about and they're violent and they're brain dead, but this was so beautiful. Erica's speech was great. That was a very strong speech. And yeah, I mean, we've been to AmFest. Their productions are wild. So I wasn't very surprised that they could pull this off that quickly, but it's a lot of people.
It is. What's really funny too is the conspiracy theories. None of them make sense. Don't get me wrong. I think the official story there's a lot to be questioned in it as well, but there are people that are saying a couple things like, there's no way you can pull off an event like this in 9 days. That's not true. let me just say it again. All of the materials for this are sitting in the back of trucks owned by TPUSA, just in storage. And they literally like, can we get some drivers and have those trucks drop it all off? Yeah. And the crews that do the construction for these events, did you see the video of them doing security? There's like 300 guys in hard hats and vests pulling the fences up. They got the people to do it. It was amazing. So when they're like, there's no way you can do it, there's videos of them doing it. And I think the most offensive one, I saw some people tweeting about it, was that they were criticizing Erica for the way she was, quote unquote, performing. They were saying it appears too scripted, and that criticism is fine. It's that when they claim that it proves that either Charlie's not dead or someone else killed him is where I think it gets offensive. My response to this is the woman just lost her husband in front of her, and now you're expecting her to perform in front of 100 million people, which she's never done before. And so the fact that she was able to do it in any capacity was incredible. And to me, looks exactly as what I'd expect it to be. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, she's never done this before. Now you're asking her to go do it. What do you think it's going to look like? Brad Pitt giving an Oscar-worthy performance or something?
Yeah, I think there's legitimate questions to have about everything that went on. Not with this in particular, but the assassination. But like, you see X flooded. It's like saturated with just easily debunked things. Like you saw people saying she was skewing the Satan hand thing, and I was like, nah, it's not that. Like, she wasn't doing that. It was like I love
crazy.
you, hand gesture. But they do that. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. Because I do think there's bad actors out there who want to control the narrative for their own gain, whether it's monetized Twitter or whatnot. I
think it's crazy that, like, imagine she's not the person who built TPUSA. Charlie Kirk is. She's got to carry on that legacy. I can't imagine watching what she saw with Charlie dying, and then literally within 24 hours, they probably were like, you have to stop. You have to calm down. You have to push that aside because there are millions of people who need a leader right now. And I can't believe she was able to do it.
Yeah.
But understand what that means for someone. It means they're going to tell you to stop emoting. Because if your natural emotive state is fear, panic, and despair, you will not convince people. They will be scared. And so I think, with all due respect, she probably did a script. They helped her write it. She doesn't do this professionally. And she delivered it to the best of her abilities, trying to convey her feelings. And when people say it feels fake and scripted, I'm like, yeah, probably because her real emotions were not like strength and endurance. It was probably fear and despair. And if she actually let that all out, she probably wouldn't have read that statement at all and probably wouldn't even have gone on the stage.
Yeah.
But it's just remarkable that people want... What's crazy to me is I met a guy, actually met a couple of people over the past week, who came up and asked me, and they were like, hey, did he really die?
I got that too.
You got that too?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, my friends who were like, work with him in Arizona are calling crying. And I was like, look, man, but I think the crazy thing is, for some of these conspiracy theories, it's really hard to believe Charlie is gone.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. The image shouldn't
weird.
Exist of him, of that. Like, it just doesn't feel like that's reality. I get it.
It is. I'll tell you this, man. I have read a lot of stories about people dying. And when they die, I'm like, oh, man, geez. Rest in peace. Ozzy Osbourne. When he died, I was like, wow, he died. Every day when I see a story about Charlie, it's like my brain is telling me he can't have died. How could he have died? And it's like, we all saw the video, man.
It's so surreal. Just like someone you've stood with. And then the whole world has to see that
argued
death,
with,
right? Yeah, I mean, you guys have argued. I didn't get that, but like, it's a very surreal thing, and I get that it just doesn't compute. It still doesn't really make sense.
This is what I was saying on X. I got a lot of messages from prominent personalities of various background. They texted me, and I wish they would speak more publicly, but there are a lot of like former liberal, like default liberal prominent personalities who have spoken out since Charlie was killed. But the point that I made, because I'm seeing all of these people say like, we have to protect the left's right to free speech. And defending the left from getting fired isn't defending the left at all. It's defending free speech. And I'm like, no, you're literally offering that leftist a defense to get his job back. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I understand your argument about free speech. I made the point that there are these conservatives, people on the right, who knew of Charlie. And knowing of Charlie is very different from knowing Charlie.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful to those that didn't actually know him who are actually taking this seriously, but there are some people I feel like aren't taking it seriously. I've covered the news for a very, very long time. I have spoken with friends about major news events. a coup attempt in Turkey. Talking to my friends and being like, wow, did you see the fighter jet opening fire on the bridge? I mean, Erdogan is looping back. Talking about this abstract, faraway thing. And then when Charlie is murdered, that's not the conversation. The conversation is they killed Charlie. That's not me talking about the news anymore. That's me talking about my life and my world being actually subjected to the vile psychopath, leftist person. Again, I'm not trying to say that in any way I am more worthy of like pain and suffering. No, I'm saying like people who actually knew, worked with Charlie, had hung out with him, and people who knew him way, way better than I did. They are not saying, did you hear the report? Charlie Kirk got assassinated. They're crying and being like, bro, they killed my brother. That feeling, when you then watch these liberals dance on his grave and justify his killing, it is the weirdest thing in the world to me. I've never experienced that. And again, I'll stress, many people who knew him substantially better than I never experienced it. It's one thing when they try to kill Trump and then they celebrated it. I don't know Trump. I mean, I met him a couple times and interviewed him. He's just a guy. He's on the news to me. He's a man that I talk about. Charlie is a guy that he's talked with my wife and about our kids, and like he texted me. I was texting, I'm not going to give into private details. He's texted me words of encouragement. I talked to him about doing work in some of the ways that he has done at these universities. And I made this tweet saying, I will not defend leftists who are saying that they will celebrate this, that it is a good thing, and if they lose their jobs, I will not come to their defense. And there are conservatives that are coming out and they're saying, I will. And I'm like, they are smearing Charlie Kirk's good name to justify his murder. That's literally the only reason. Now, there's some stupid people who don't know better. I know some of them. I'm not mean to them. I was talking to a guy over the weekend who was like, well, that guy was racist. And I was like, that's not correct. I was like, not only do I know for a fact he's a friend of mine, he was not racist. He spoke out against racists, and he even kicked racists out of his conventions. So, these smears, they're not okay. And then the response I get is, oh, well, I don't know. I've never actually watched him. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But these people who are intentionally lying about him and spreading these lies, I'm not going to come to their defense when they get fired. These woke right guys, I call them. They do everything they can to defend the woke left when they seek to kill us and justify this murder. And I'm not going to abide it.
They're gleeful demons. It's really interesting to watch people cheer for someone's death. I mean, again, not so shocking after 2020 with what happened, but when it's someone that you knew to some degree, and it's a father, a husband like that, and then for them to cheer and celebrate, it's disgusting.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.